Hey guys, have a few activities for you today, the end of chapter 6. You can either follow along in the book if you want, or I'm going to walk you through step by step today. And it has to deal with type. It's not too hard, won't take long, but stick with me. It'll reinforce a lot of the skill sets we talked about in the lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Photoshop, and the first file you're going to want to open is file 6.2. You get that from Schoology, your data files. And we're going to make sure we're in the correct workspace for this chapter, which you're working with type, so we want our character panel open. So make sure you go to Window, Workspace, and make sure you have Graphic and Web selected. And it's always a good habit to reset it as well. So once you get to it, just reset Graphic and Web and everything will go back to its default state, which is what we want. Alright, so I'm going to add some text to this part of the canvas right there. I'm not going to give you the X and Y values. I'm just going to have you position it on your canvas, and I'm going to zoom in one time to see it. Alright, so let me grab my text tool, and I'm going to go with a specific font here. So if you go to your options bar up here, let's drop this down, and we're going to our L's. So go down to your L's. We're looking for Lucid Sans right there. And we want regular, and we're going to go with a 34-point font. So right here, or not 34, 35, I apologize. So highlight this area, type 35. 35-point font, and we're just going to go with a black font to start. So right there, click on your color box. Let's go to black and hit OK. And just click in this location on the canvas. That's fine. You're going to type the word Zenith, Z-E-N-I-T-H. And we're going to reposition it so we can see it, and put it right about there, okay? You can't see part of the H, actually move it over. Can't see part of the H, but that is fine. We're going to apply some effects to it later on in this activity to make it pop so you can see it. So we added that. We're going to make we're also going to add another font, or another word to the right over here, but before we do, I want you to go to your layer panel here and select your background layer, because we're going to add text to a new layer, and we don't want the software to be confused and think we're trying to modify the Zenith layer. So always make sure you go to your background to add a new layer of type. So I'm going to go to my text tool right there, and I'm going to put a different font style here. So I'm going to go with Myriad Pro. So I'm going to go to my M's. So scroll down to your M's. Should be MY. Myriad Pro right there, and I believe it's regular. Yep, it is regular, and we're going 35 points for the size as well. This time, let's go ahead and change that font color to white. So I'm going to just change my color to white, because we're going to type over here, and we want it to contrast the background. So I'm going to click right there. I'm going to type the word design. Oops. And commit it right there with my check mark. Grab my move tool. And I want to reposition it so it's lined up with the Zenith, okay? And you'll see you had a purple line underneath it. Here, I'll show you. When it lines up, when I'm lined up, it'll show that line underneath it, indicating they're both on the same vertical position on your y-axis. So we have that right there. That's what we want. We're going to change the font size of both the Z and the D. So I'm going to start with the D first, since I have that layer active. So the design layer is active. I'm going to my text tool right there. I'm going to, sorry guys, had to check. I couldn't remember if I turned on my camera. I did. I'm going to highlight the D right there, and I'm going to adjust the font size. So I'm going to go over here, type 50. All right, so that I hit enter, and you'll see it makes my font bigger. And I also want to apply a baseline shift to this as well. So you remember from the lesson, we dropped the position of letters, and we do that in our character panel over here. So it's the big A, little a right there, and you'll see I'm already at -5. So let me do the simple math. If I want to drop it 5 additional points, let's change that number to -10. So -10, hit enter. It drops my D to that position, and I'm going to hit my check mark to commit it. Let me go ahead and select my Zenith layer right there. Grab my text tool. I'm going to highlight my Z, and I'm going to go through the same 2 steps I just went through. So font size is going to be 50. All right, I'm looking at my baseline shift right here. I'm taking that to a -10, because I can add 5 and 5 together. All right, that's takes me where I want to be right there. All right, so that's looking okay right now. Let me go ahead and change the font color of design here. So I've decided I want to have this be the same color as that orange right there. So I'm simply going to double click this capital T, the thumbnail icon that will select that word on the canvas. So let me double click it. Wrong word, that one. All right, so it's selected design. I'm gonna go up here to the color box, click it. And when that comes up, I should just be able to sample the orange from my canvas and hit OK. And that changes the color of that text to that orange background. So that's what I want right there. All right, we're gonna add let me make sure I'm not skipping anything, looking at my notes. We're gonna add a drop shadow to the word zenith. So simply select the layer over there, and then we're gonna go to our FX button down here. This allows us to apply the effects to each layer independently. So let me hit FX, and what did I just say, a drop shadow? We're going to drop shadow on the bottom. And we're looking at some settings in here. We're gonna go with a black drop shadow, and I'm gonna adjust my angle. Well, it's already 150, so my angle's at 150. It doesn't specify my distance, spread, and size in the book, but if you adjust these settings, you can see how it adjusts the appearance on your canvas. So, you know, what people tend to do when they start working with effects is they overdo it. They're like, oh, this is cool, let me bump that way up. And it's too over the top. So just keep your adjustments to a minimum when you're working with these. You can adjust the size, you can adjust the spread as well. All right, so just put some settings that look reasonable. Make sure your angle is at 150, I'll want to see that. And let's adjust one more thing with this text before we move on. So I've got Zenith active there. Double click this capital T right there so it selects the word on the canvas, because what I want to adjust is this setting right here, this little a. This deals with the edge of your text. It's called anti-aliasing. And we can change the setting here to have the edge of the text appear sharp, crisp, smooth, strong. And we want to go with, I believe, smooth right here. So adjust your setting to smooth. And you can see it made a small modification going around the edge of the text to make it smooth. That's your anti-aliasing. All right, let's select the design layer right there. So you have design, and we are going to add a bevel and emboss effect to this. So go to FX at the bottom of your layer panel, go to bevel and emboss right there. And let me position this, get this out of the way a little bit. You could automatically see what it did. It made that text pop a little bit just by going with the default setting, but we're going to make some changes. So we're going to make sure the angle is, where's my angle? Angle's at 150, altitude's 30. Those are the settings I want. And that's all the settings it gave me. But you can see, I want you to look at these. You can go outer bevel. You can see the difference there. We want to stick with the inner bevel. You can adjust your depth, move that up, move that down, size, and soften. All those little changes right there. But just make it kind of look close to mine, and make sure your angle's at 150 and the altitude is at 30 degrees. And let's hit OK. All right, so we have that. We're going to apply a bevel and emboss to the zenith layer as well. So go ahead and select zenith, hit your FX down there, and we're going to go bevel and emboss. And I believe it gives me now it gives me the same setting. So simply make sure your angle's 150, altitude's at 30, and hit OK. And that's looking good right there. I want to type some text down at the bottom, so I'm going to close this library because it's bugging me. All right, so I want to add some text to the bottom. So if you remember what I said just a few minutes ago, make sure you have your background layer active. Select your text tool. We're going to go with a black text. We're going to go with what kind of font? I got to look. We're going to go back to Lucida Sans, so it's right there, regular. Let's go 16 point. No, it's not 16. It's 16 point. So type 16 point font. We're going to click down at the bottom right there. And we're going to type always the best and commit our transformation. So we have that at the bottom. It looks just like that, right there. And I want to apply a blur filter to this, a Gaussian blur filter. So I've got always the best active right there. I'm going to go to my filter menu up here. So I'm going to go to filter, blur, and I'm going to go with Gaussian blur right there. And it prompts me with this message. It says this layer must be rasterized or converted to a smart object before proceeding. If rasterized, its text will no longer be editable. What that means is you are changing the text from a vector object, which is based on mathematical calculations, to a smart object or a bitmap image, so we can apply bitmap tools, which filters are. So let's go to convert to smart object, and then it gives us the setting for the blur effect. Now, we're ultimately going to have our setting at 1 right there, but if I move it up too much, you're not going to be able to see the text because it's way too blurred. So it just blurs it by a set number of pixels. So let's make it 1 pixel and hit OK. And it just blurs the text just a little bit. All right, we're going to add text to a path. So just like we did in the lesson. So scroll down your tool panel. You're going to go down to your ellipse tool. Allows you to draw an ellipse. And remember, just like we did in the lesson, we want to make sure our options bar says path in that shape. So make sure that says path. And then you're going to draw an ellipse, much in the same way I'm doing here in this location. Okay? So we have our path right there. And if you remember from the other day, I'm going to go to grab my text tool. I'm going to change my text color to orange. So go to my color box and I'm going to sample the orange from right there. So I have orange there. I'm going to go with a Times New Roman font. So let me go down to my T's. I'm going to change my font size to, let's go 14. And now I simply need to attach my cursor to the path. So let me zoom in so you can see. So as I go across my canvas with my cursor, you'll see there's a box around it. And as I go over the edge of this path, it changes to kind of a squiggly line is what I call it. All right, so let me do it one more time. Squiggly line. And we're going to want to position our cursor right about there, I'm guessing, and click. And you'll see you're now attached to the path and it gives you that. All right, let's hit the delete key on your keyboard to delete what's there. And now we have the option just to type along here like we want. Make sure in your options bar up there it's left justified. And then we're going to type since something is not right. Let me go back. Let me make sure I have my horizontal type tool, regular font. Let's go since. Oh, I'm low on the layer panel, 1972. All right, so don't worry about it. Let's just hit OK. And I'm going to go get rid of that properties that popped up again. Can't see what I'm doing. All right, so we're going to take this to the top of our layer panel. So take it up there. Grab your move tool. Reposition that. And it doesn't have quite the angle I want, so I'm going to rotate this and size it down a little bit. So I'm going to do that with my show transform controls. So right there, show transform controls. I'm going to move my cursor just outside the top right corner so I get that double-ended arrow. And then I'm going to just, oops, I didn't want to do that yet. I'm going to tilt this slightly, like that. And I'm going to size this down a little bit. And then I'm going to commit it. And grab my move tool and just move it over slightly. All right, and zoom out. So Command minus, and uncheck show transform controls. So that's what I have there. Now let's go ahead and reduce the opacity of the words right there a little bit. So with that layer active, just go up to the top of your layers panel right there, and let's drop the opacity down to 40. Is it 45? It says 45, but I think that's going to be too low. No, that looks all right. It looks all right because the background, it contrasts it so well. All right, so that is the first activity I want you to do, and you're going to save this as ZD logo. So go to File, Save As, and you're staying organized. So you're going to save this on your desktop in your 2020 fall folder, this class, We're in chapter 6, and we're going to call this ZD logo. Okay. All right, so that's your first activity. That's the longest one that we're going to do in this set. The other ones are extremely short. So go ahead and open up file 6-3. So file, open, and we're opening up 6-3. So I've already saved mine from Schoology to my desktop. All right, so when I open 6-3, it has has flowers and a vase that are sitting on what I assume is a table. All right, so we're going to save this with the correct file name first. So go to File, Save As, and we're going to stay organized again. So Desktop, 2020 Fall, Image Editing, Chapter 6, and I'm going to call this Nature's Beauty. And hit Save. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is place some type on the top of this canvas. This is going to be the title of our flower shop. So let's go ahead and grab our text tool, and we're going to go with a font of Times New Roman, which is good. That's what we left off with. We're going to go with a size of 60, so type 60 right there. It should be regular. Font color is going to be black, so change this to black. And OK. And right up here, we're going to type Nature's Beauty. And commit your transformation with that check mark, get your move tool, and reposition this at the top, just like that. Okay? So we have it looking like that. We're going to create a second layer of type, and we're going to place it at the bottom. So go ahead and select your background layer. And we want the text tool. And this time we're going to go with a different font. We're going to go with Veranda Regular. So hit your drop down there, go to your V's, find out where it is. Right there, Veranda, Regular, and we're going 24-point font, so change this to 24. And down at the bottom right there, you're going to type, it doesn't get much better. And commit your type, grab your move tool and reposition it right about there. All right, you can see you're getting the purple lines that'll line you up when you get it centered. I'm looking between notes and book. All right, so we're going to add a drop shadow to the title. So select Nature's Beauty right there, and we're going to go to FX right there. FX, we're going to choose drop shadow at the bottom. All right, this time it gives me a few more settings. So we're going to start off with our blend mode. So as opposed to normal, we're going to go with a multiply blend mode. So go down to the fourth option, that's multiply. And the opacity we want right there is going to be 75%. Angle is going to be 30. Distance is going to be 5, so change that to 5. Spread is going to be 2. And the size is also going to be 5 down there. And we're going to hit OK. All right, so that is the drop shadow applied to Nature's Beauty. If I want to see what it looks like or doesn't do, it's not doing much, I can tell you that. It is there, barely, you can see it. So you can show and hide that to see the difference it's making right there. Okay. All right, let me zoom back out. So that's my drop shadow that I applied. I'm going to go to the bottom layer text right there. So select, it doesn't get much better. Go to my FX, and we're going to apply a Bevel and Emboss to this layer. So go to Bevel and Emboss. All right, and I'm going to scoot this out of the way just a little bit so I can see some of it. Now it gives me some additional settings here. So the style we're going to go with is Chisel Soft. So hit the drop down there. I'm sorry, it's going to be an inner bevel. The technique is going to be Chisel Soft. Okay, and the depth, or 100%. Depth, so 100 on that setting right there. Direction is going to be up. Pixel size is going to be 15, so 15. The softness is going to be 0 points. Angle is going to be 30 degrees, and 25 degrees for altitude. And we want to make sure global light is chosen right there. So use global light, hit OK. And those are the settings it gave us, so hit OK. All right, and now you have your Bevel Emboss, and when I come around and check your stuff, I can simply have you double click Bevel Emboss right there and I can see your settings. All right, last thing we're going to do to this file is going to be applied to the Nature's Beauty layer. So go ahead and select that layer. And this is where we're going to change our workspace. So we're going to go to type. We're going to go to type right there, and I want you to choose extrude to 3D. So one more time, select Nature's Beauty, go to type on the menu bar, choose extrude 3D. This thing will spin a little bit and asks if we want to switch our workspace, and you hit yes. All right, and when it does, assuming all works how it's supposed to, you are taken to a 3D canvas where you can, with this tool right there, this is your rotate 3D object, you can go ahead and reposition. Come on, my computer's freezing up, I think. That's what happened. All right, so I just froze. All right, so you can manipulate your 3D workspace. My computer's acting up, but let me show you what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to look in your file. I'm going to make sure you went to this step. So if you go back to your layers panel right there, you can now see there is a 3D thumbnail icon next to Nature's Beauty, indicating to me that you took it to your 3D workspace and you moved it a little bit with that button. All right, so to get rid of this workspace on your canvas, simply select a different layer, and you'll see that thumbnail is there, and mine looks terrible. But I did go to that 3D workspace. I think it's because my computer was not doing, it was freezing up on me. All right, so go ahead and save this one, because save it. I'm just gonna hit save, because you already saved it as Nature's Beauty, and hit OK. And I'm gonna close that one. And now I'm gonna open up file 6-4, so file, open, and I'm going to my desktop. I'm going to chapter 6. 6-4 is just a teddy bear, a background, and some milk. All right, so we're not doing very much with this at all. It's like a 2-3 step process. So let's go ahead and add a text layer. So we're going to grab our text tool, and let me get my notes to see the font we're using. We're going to go with Arial regular, so change your font type to Arial. Font color is going to be black. Ooh, this black, yep. It's going to be black. Okay. Font size is going to be 24. And we're going to add text to a path right there. So I'm going to do it a way that I've seen students do it in the past where they can't see their text. And it's because they position their text layer below the teddy bear. So I'm going to do it like this, just to show you the most common error. So I'm going to grab my ellipse tool right there. I'm going to create a path right about like that. Grab my text tool again, and I should have all the correct settings. This time I'm going to attach my cursor to the path, just like I showed you earlier. So click on it when you see the squiggly line, and we're going to backspace that, and then we're in all capital letters, we're going to type yummy, Y-U-M-M-Y, with exclamation point. You can see I can't see anything, and that's only because it's hidden by that layer. So I'm going to commit this transformation, and I'm going to drag that to the top layer, and you'll see I spelled it wrong. All right, so Yumi. All right, so let me double click the T. Let's correct the spelling. Put my cursor there and hit spacebar a couple times just to reposition it, and then commit my transformation. All right, so if I go zoom out, I can grab my move tool, reposition that text up there, and if I need to rotate it a little bit, I just show my transform controls. Go outside, I didn't want that. Go outside and reposition, or rotate the text, I apologize, and commit my transformation. All right, and one more step on this one. We're going to add a a bevel and emboss to that text. So hit your FX, go to bevel, whoops, not that one, cancel. FX, bevel and emboss. Let me reposition this. All right, we're gonna go with an angle of 100. So your angle right there is 100, your altitude is 30. All other settings should be as they are, and hit OK. All right, so I can't see much of anything there, but it's there, and I can see the effect on the layer panel. So let's go ahead and save this correctly. We're going to go to File, Save As, and I believe we're going to save this as Milk Promotion. So we're going to stay organized, folks. Desktop, 2020 Fall, Image Editing, Chapter 6. Save this as Milk Promotion. And hit Save. Hit OK. All right, good. That's what we want there. So let's close that one. And we're going to open our fourth activity. Open your fourth activity. So this is File 6-5. So File, Open. I'm going back to my desktop. Chapter 6. All right, so File 6-5. It has some text on the canvas. We're going to just have it say what it does in the book. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that layer. I'm going to get rid of that layer, and I'm going to get rid of this layer. Now let's focus on attitude. So your attitude right there, that's your text layer. Let me double click that in the canvas, and I'm going to modify, change the font type. So let me go from what would this? I kind of like that one right there. So what is it? Apple Chancery. All right, let me try that one. Okay, I like that. I'm going to adjust the font size. So let me take that up to see what 60 would look like. All right, so that looks kind of good there. All right, so attitude, making sure I spelled it correctly, and I'm going to adjust the, what do I want to do in that? Let's go ahead and let's see what a filter, let's go to blur, let's go Gaussian, or smart object. That's fine, we can go with that. Let's go 2 pixels on the Gaussian blur. Now let's go 0.5. All right, so I adjusted the attitude right there. Let's see if we can apply a different filter. We're really not in the filter chapter yet, so I'll probably, let's see what add some noise filter would be. So let's go to noise, add noise. All right, so that's fine. And I'm gonna add some noise to this image. So if I take that up to about, let's try 60%. All right, so that's 60% noise filter on those words, so hit OK. All right, so we're left with that right there. Let's add one more type layer. So as you remember, we're going to go back to the background layer, grab our text tool. We're going to go with a font color that matches this purple glow effect. So hit your font color right there, sample the purple around the edge of this lady, and hit OK. And font size is probably going to be, let's try 24. And I may be incorrect here. So let's just click down here, and we're going to type for the busy businesswoman. All right, so we're going to put that down there, reposition it, and I'm going to make an adjustment to this with my show transform controls so I can see it a little bit better. So go ahead and click that button. We're going to, why is it giving me a locked aspect ratio? It's because okay, it's because, uncheck that. Now I should be able to stretch it out. There we go. All right, what I was looking for there, folks, is I just wanted to be able to shrink this horizontally and stretch it vertically. Because this little linkage was chosen up here, it locked the aspect ratio. I couldn't make it more, I couldn't shrink it this way and expand it that way. But by unchecking that, I could. So I have that how I want it. Uncheck that. Let's go ahead and let's put a stroke around this one. So it's a little different from the book. Let's go to FX, let's go to stroke, and let's go with see what a white stroke of 1 would look like. So let's go to your white and change the font size. Hey, okay. Font size to 1. Let's go to 0.5. Okay, 1's as small as we can go. We'll go with 1. Actually, I'm going to change that color to a lighter. White's too bright. So let me double click where it says stroke. And we're going to change this to a more of a gray. More of a gray, so it's not so much. And opacity is going to go down right there. Drop your opacity down. So this is nuts. Okay, I got you. There. So it drops the opacity of that stroke down so it's easier to read. So hit OK. So I took that to 63, that's fine. Get somewhere close. Hit OK. All right, we're done with that one. Last one we're going to work on. You need to go to the internet. Oh, we need to save this correctly. I'm sorry. Which one's this? This is save as attitude. So file, save as. We're stay organized, desktop, 2020 fall, image editing, chapter 6, save it as attitude. Okay, we got that one done. All right, last one. You're going to open up a picture of your choice. So the instructions the book gives you is find a place you want to promote. So maybe you like the Bahamas. You want to promote the Bahamas. Maybe you like Florida. You want to promote Florida, Disneyland, Carowinds, whatever it may be. I chose a place. I chose a place I went to a few years ago. It was really pretty. Most people have never heard of it, but it's the Pictured Rocks National Lake Shore. Okay, and come on, Google. All right, so this, I'll show you where it's located. All right, so Pictured Rocks National Lake Shore, come on. And if I zoom out, all right, if I zoom out, you can see it's located on the shores of Lake Superior, okay? As a kid, I grew up in Michigan. I used to go up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, ride snowmobiles in the winter sometimes. Really pretty area, really cold, but has a really pretty nature setting. So thought I'd show you this. So that's where I chose, and let me show you which picture I chose. So file, open file. No, not Chrome. Cancel. I didn't have Photoshop selected. You can see that Chrome selected. Now I'm back to Photoshop. So file, open. Go into the desktop. I put these pictures in a folder, community promotion. So I'm going to hold shift to open all of them and kind of decide which one I want to go with. All right, so I've got, this is a picture of the Pictured Rocks. This is another picture of it in the winter. That's in the summer. You can go on boat tours and you can go on kayak tours as well. I'm probably going to go with this picture. I like the lighting. All right, so I have the picture I'm going to use, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my notes out of the way so I can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to grab a font size of, it says choose whatever you want. So I'm going to grab my text tool, and let me see what a dark blue would look like here. Do a size 72. All right, so Pictured Rocks, National Lake Shore. I'm going to put this up at the top left. And I want to make this text pop a little bit. So I'm going to go to my FX down here. I'm going to go to Bevel Emboss. Actually, before I do, let me go double click that. I don't want to do Times New Roman. I want to do something a little, gonna go with Picture Rocks National Lakeshore in Arial Black, but I'm gonna change my font size to 60. All right, now I should be able to go in and start applying the FX. So FX, let's go Bevel Emboss. And I'm going to enter bevel. I'm going to go a little more depth because I'm dealing with larger text here. So Picture Rocks National Lakeshore, size, and just some settings you may like right there. Hit OK. Let me double click the T right there. I may want to change my text color. So what might I want to go to? Does green look good? I think a dark green may look pretty good. So let me stay with blue. All right, so I got Picture Rocks National Lakeshore. Let me add an effect to this as well. So FX, I'm going to put a drop shadow. And let me try a different color. Too much. Change color. It's too much. All right, so that looks good right there. I'm fine with that. And then add one more line of text. So select your background layer, grab your text tool. I'm going to go with the same font type, but let's go size 45. I'm going to type enjoy a day on the water. Reposition that. I'm probably going to change the text color as well, so let me double click the T. We're going to go, let's go, yeah, I like that. All right, so I'll go to lighter color right there. Enjoy a day on the water, and let's make this pop just a little bit. So let's add a Bevel Emboss. And I like exactly how mine came up with those settings. You choose what you want. All right. So I'm done with this activity. So you're going to save this as community promotion. So File, Save As, and stay organized. Desktop, 2020 Fall, Image Editing, Chapter 6. And we're going to call it Community Promotion. And hit Save. Okay. All right, guys, that's it.